Hello, welcome to Secret Zone. Subscribe and turn on notifications for stories you won't forget. I wasn't supposed to be home that night, but an 80-year-old boy changed everything, and what he told me would save my life. It started in the quiet streets of my neighborhood, where every house looked normal and every family seemed safe. I, Michael Carter, had a routine I trusted to work at the warehouse at night. Leave around 9:15 p.m., return before dawn. Always the same predictable rhythm. My wife, Vanessa, 39, stayed home in our suburban Colorado house, managing her work as a real estate office coordinator, and our life felt calm, even comfortable. But that afternoon, everything shifted. I had just returned from running errands, bags of groceries in hand, when I noticed Noah, our neighbor's 8-year-old boy, standing hesitantly near the mailbox. There was something heavy in his gaze. Something that didn't belong in the playful eyes of a child. He walked up slowly, tugging on my sleeve, whispering words that I couldn't believe at first. A man had been in my house last night, after I left, and he told Noah not to tell anyone, but Noah did. My heart froze, and my stomach twisted, a feeling I had never known before. For a moment, I wanted to dismiss it, to chalk it up to imagination or exaggeration, but the innocence and urgency in that boy's voice made it impossible. Suddenly, the world I thought he knew tilted on its axis. Every step, every routine, every familiar corner of my home felt dangerous in a way I could never have predicted. I hugged Vanessa goodbye later that evening, kissed her as if nothing had changed, and went through the motions of leaving for work. But inside, I wasn't leaving. That night, I would discover that the ordinary life I had trusted was hiding a secret darker than I could have imagined. A betrayal so carefully planned it made my pulse race and my mind sharpen all at once. The moment Noah told me the truth, my life changed forever, and I had no idea how close I had come to losing everything. I wasn't supposed to be home that afternoon, yet something pulled me back. My name is Michael Carter, 42, a night operations manager at a busy logistics warehouse outside Denver. My evenings were always the same: kiss Vanessa goodbye, check that everything at home is in order, and head out around 9:15 p.m. for my night shift. Life was predictable, calm, ordinary, until Noah, the neighbor's 8-year-old boy, appeared in my driveway with wide, nervous eyes. He tugged on my sleeve, glancing around like someone might overhear him. "Mr. Carter, a man came into your house last night," he whispered. "He told me not to tell anyone, but I think you should know." My stomach twisted as the words sank in. I froze, unable to speak, and my mind raced. I knew Vanessa, my wife of nearly a decade, worked from home sometimes, but she had never given me reason to fear. And yet, hearing it from a childiness and honest terrified, it impossible to ignore. I tried to ask questions, but Noah shook his head, insisting he shouldn't say more. I thanked him, my hands shaking, and sent him back home. That night, I followed my usual routine. I hugged Vanessa goodbye, kissed her as if nothing had changed, and stepped out the door. But instead of heading to the warehouse, I drove around the block, parked a safe distance away, and slipped into the old storage shed behind our house. From that hidden vantage point, I could see the back entrance. My pulse hammered, adrenaline surging. I hadn't been prepared for what I would witness. Shadows moved, a door clicked, and suddenly the world I had trusted felt like a trap. I realized then that Noah hadn't lied, hadn't imagined it. Something or someone was in my house, and I was about to discover the truth of the life Vanessa had been hiding from me. The quiet neighborhood, the familiar faces, the sense of safety, it had all been an illusion. The night stretched before me, full of suspense, fear, and a truth I wasn't ready to face, but I couldn't look away. My life, and perhaps even my survival, depended on what I would see next. From the set, I watched and waited. At 10:08 p.m., the back door quietly unlocked. A man stepped inside, tall, confident, moving as if he belonged. My stomach dropped as I recognized him, Brandon Ice, a contractor who had often worked on neighborhood homes. He didn't hesitate or glance nervously. Vanessa followed moments later, smiling, warmly greeting him in a way that made my chest tighten. Their movements were intimate, practiced, casual in a way I had never witnessed between Vanessa and me. She guided him to the living room, and he removed his shoes as if entering a familiar space. Then I noticed the folder in her hand, a crisp envelope she handed to him. My pulse stopped as I realized what it contained. Life insurance papers, property transfer documents, carefully laid plans for my disappearance. They spoke quietly, rehearsing every detail of what they had scheduled. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just betrayal. This was murder, plotted with precision, and I had been blind to it all. I held my breath as Brandon examined the folder, nodding with satisfaction. Vanessa whispered, "Everything transfers to me and then to us. Once he's gone." I could barely process her words. My own home had become a theater for someone else's plan to end my life. I stayed in the shed for what felt like hours, memorizing every movement, every whisper, every tool Brandon carried. The living room lights dimmed, curtains were partially drawn, drinks poured. Every action was deliberate. Then she said the words that made my entire world tilt. "Tomorrow morning, when he leaves for work, you come in through the back. We finish it then." My hands clenched the shed walls, splinters digging into my skin. They weren't just cheating, they were scheduling my death, timing it to perfection. I remained silent, emotionless on the outside, but inside my mind was already working. I couldn't confront them. I couldn't act rashly. I had to survive long enough to expose the truth. The night dragged on. Brandon left quietly, and Vanessa went upstairs. I finally emerged, shaken but resolute. I had seen everything, and the horrifying reality of their plan would guide every step I took next. Morning came, but I didn't sleep. Vanessa left for work at 8:01 a.m., unsuspecting that I had not gone anywhere. I quietly moved through the house, examining every detail. The envelope still sat in the drawer. Emails, security logs, notes in her handwriting, GPS data, all proof of the conspiracy. I photographed everything, backed up files, and sent copies to a secure drive. I called Stephen Grant, a private investigator and former detective, who I trusted to coordinate the next steps. When he reviewed the evidence, his words were chilling. "If you go to work tomorrow night, you might not come back." That clarity sharpened my focus. I didn't plan violence. I planned documentation, preparation, and survival. Every detail they had overlooked, every trace of their rehearsal, became my tool. The man's footprints, the gloves, the hidden tools, everything told a story they hadn't expected me to see. By late afternoon, we had secured all evidence and coordinated with local authorities for the ultimate confrontation. I went through motions at home exactly as Vanessa would expect. Dinner on the counter, uniform laid out, lights dimmed. The trap was theirs. But tonight I held the advantage. My heart was steady. My mind was clear. They believed the night belonged to them. They were wrong. At 10:05 p.m., Brandon entered again, following the rehearsed plan. Vanessa played her role perfectly, practicing panic, arranging the staged struggle, speaking in hushed, calculated tones. I watched from the shadows, calm and ready. Seconds later, Stephen Grant led a small team into the house. "Don't move," the voices commanded. Flashlights cut through darkness, guns raised, authority unmistakable. Brandon froze, dropping the screwdriver he had wrapped in a towel. Vanessa's face turned pale. She stammered, What is this?" Confessions spilled out before interrogation even began. They had planned a perfect murder. They had planned my death down to the minute. Betrayal, planned for me to survive, or for justice to intervene. Both were arrested for conspiracy to commit homicide, attempted insurance fraud, and unlawful entry. I watched as the woman I had once trusted was led away, her mascara streaked, guilt written on her face. For the first time, I realized I hadn't lost a marriage I had escaped a predator. The sun rose over our Colorado neighborhood as I packed a suitcase, leaving the house behind, not in defeat, but in freedom. The quiet street, the familiar homes, the normal life they no longer held me captive. I owed it all to Noah, the little boy who saw the truth before anyone else. Without him, I might never have survived. Now, I walk forward, cautious but alive, aware of what betrayal looks like, but grateful for the life I saved. As the sun rose over the quiet Colorado neighborhood, I finally felt the weight lift from my shoulders. The house I had once called home felt strange, unfamiliar, as if the walls themselves were holding on to the secrets that had threatened my life. Vanessa and Brandon were behind bars, Their plans unraveled, their carefully rehearsed lies exposed for the world to see. I didn't feel relief in the way most people might. I felt something deeper, sharper. Release. Every night I had left for work, trusting her, had been a risk I hadn't known I was taking. Every routine I followed, every habit I assumed was safe, had been a thread in the web she and Brandon had woven. But now, that web was broken, and I was still standing. I packed a single suitcase and walked out of the house, not running, not defeated, just choosing a life free from the shadow of betrayal. Noah, the little boy who had warned me, had seen what I couldn't, and because of him, I survived. My trust had been shattered, yes, but my instincts, my patience, and my willingness to observe had saved me. Life had given me a second chance, and I intended to use it. As I left the driveway behind, I didn't look back. The past, the lies, the danger, they were locked away, just as the officers had locked them behind bars. I walked forward into the light of a new day, alive, vigilant, and aware that sometimes survival comes not from strength, but from seeing the truth when no one else does. And as I took that first step, I whispered a quiet thanks to a small, observant boy who reminded me that even the faintest voice can change the course of a life forever. Help me reach 2,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every message. Take care and see you in the next video.